As the Asterian delegation returns to their vessel, President Eliza Warren stands at the White House window, watching the alien ship ascend into the clouds. Her hands tremble slightly, though her expression remains composed for the benefit of her staff. 7 days, she murmurs. They've given us 7 days to prepare for the end of human independence. Behind her, General Marcus Chen clears his throat. Madam President, the Joint Chiefs are assembled in the Situation Room. The UN Security Council is joining via secure link. She nods without turning. And the analysis of their technology. Beyond anything we could hope to match, Chen replies, his voice tight. Their smallest scout vessels could likely neutralize our entire nuclear arsenal before we could launch. Their energy signatures suggest power generation capabilities at least 3 centuries beyond our most theoretical models. The president finally turns, her eyes reflecting not defeat but calm determination. Then we fight them differently. Across the globe, humanity reacts to the arrival of their would-be conquerors with a spectrum of responses. Religious congregations swell, their members seeking comfort in faith. Doomsday preppers vindicated at last disappear into bunkers. Scientists work feverishly to understand alien technology glimpsed during the brief landing. Military forces mobilize knowing full well the futility of conventional resistance. In New Delhi, 17-year-old Prisha Mehta watches the news broadcast with her family, clutching her physics textbook like a shield. But they can't just claim an entire planet, she protests. We have rights. We have sovereignty. Her father, an environmental lawyer, smiles sadly. Rights only exist when there's power to enforce them, Beta. And they have all the power. In the remote observatory at Mauna Kea, Hawaii, Dr. James Okoye adjusts his telescope's focus on the massive Asterian mothership in high orbit. Unlike his panicking colleagues, his face shows fascination rather than fear. Their hull composition doesn't match any material we've ever documented, he notes into his recorder. It seems to absorb rather than reflect certain wavelengths of light, almost as if. He trails off, making rapid calculations on his tablet, as if they're harvesting energy directly from stellar radiation. Fascinating. A junior researcher approaches, her eyes red from crying. Dr. Okoye, how can you be so calm? They're going to enslave us all in a week. He looks up from his calculations with surprising serenity. Young lady, humanity has faced extinction-level threats before. Asteroids, plagues, climate disasters, nuclear standoffs. What makes us remarkable isn't that we build impressive ships or weapons. It's that we adapt. We find solutions where none should exist. In the shadowy conference room beneath Geneva, the emergency session of world leaders continues into its 14th hour. Maps, projection models, and simulation results cover every screen. The Chinese premier rubs his tired eyes. So we are agreed. All military options are futile. The Russian president nods grimly. Our combined might would be like throwing pebbles at a tsunami. From the doorway, a voice interrupts. Then perhaps we need something beyond might. Dr. Eleanor Chen stands there, clutching a tablet computer, her lab coat rumpled from 3 days without rest. I need to show you something about human neural architecture that the aliens seem to have missed entirely. The room falls silent as she approaches the main display terminal. Tell me, distinguished leaders, she says, connecting her tablet, do any of you believe in me? The holographic brain scan rotates above the conference table, its unusual neural pathways glowing in distinct patterns unlike anything in standard medical textbooks. World leaders lean forward, faces illuminated by the blue light. This structure, Dr. Chen explains, pointing to a web-like formation bridging the brain hemispheres, doesn't appear in any Asterian biological database. Their scans categorized it as random noise, as their species lacks this neural architecture entirely. The German chancellor adjusts her glasses skeptically. And you believe this structure allows humans to manipulate quantum probability fields? Dr. Chen nods. We've documented 500 cases throughout history where individuals under extreme duress performed seemingly impossible feats. A mother lifting a car to save her child. A man surviving a fall from 30,000 feet. Spontaneous recovery from terminal illness. She taps her tablet, and dozens of case files appear on surrounding screens. Each incident correlates with unusual activation in this neural region. If such abilities exist, the Japanese Prime Minister interjects, why haven't they manifested more consistently? Why aren't humans routinely performing these miracles? Dr. Chen's fingers dance across her tablet, bringing up a new simulation. The neural structure remains dormant under normal conditions. Our research suggests a precise electrochemical signature is required for activation, a signature produced only during extreme fight-or-flight responses, coupled with specific brainwave patterns. So we can't control it, the American president states flatly. Not yet, Dr. Chen counters, but my team has synthesized a neural activation sequence. Administered globally through digital networks, it could theoretically awaken this dormant potential in every human simultaneously. The room erupts in overlapping questions and objections. The Brazilian president's voice rises above the others. You're proposing to fundamentally alter human neural function without testing. The ethical implications alone. With respect, Madam President, Dr. Chen interrupts. The Asterian integration fleet arrives in 5 days. Ethics won't matter when we're reduced to a servant species. As heated debate continues, a young aide slips into the room and whispers to the British Prime Minister, who pales visibly. He stands, commanding attention. Colleagues, we've just received intelligence from our deep space monitoring station. The Asterians are not waiting 7 days. A secondary fleet has just entered the outer solar system. Estimated arrival, 36 hours. Silence blankets the room. The Russian president breaks it. Dr. Chen, what are the risks of your Prometheus protocol? She doesn't sugarcoat her answer. Significant. Potential neural damage. Psychological trauma. Some may not survive the awakening. She pauses, then adds, but those who do may be humanity's only hope. The UN Secretary-General calls for a vote. Hands rise one by one. Reluctant, trembling, but ultimately unanimous. In her Beijing laboratory, Dr. Chen's team works feverishly to finalize the activation sequence. Mathematicians refine quantum equations. Neurologists double-check stimulus parameters. Computer scientists prepare distribution systems to piggyback the signal through every electronic network worldwide. Dr. Chen steps away from the chaos momentarily, gazing out at the darkening sky, where Asterian ships hover like predatory birds. She extracts a small locket from beneath her lab coat, opening it to reveal a photograph of a young girl. I hope you'll understand why I did this, May. She whispers to her daughter's image. Sometimes to save humanity, you have to risk changing what it means to be human. Behind her, a technician calls urgently. Dr. Chen, we're ready for the final sequence test. She closes the locket, tucking away personal concerns alongside it. Humanity's hidden gift awaits unwrapping, for better or worse. The pain subsides as quickly as it arrived, leaving behind a strange clarity unlike anything Maya Rodriguez has ever experienced. Standing in the crowd gathered at Battery Park, she watches the massive Asterian vessel descend through the clouds toward Manhattan. Her mind feels different, expanded somehow, as if previously locked rooms have suddenly opened. Around her, others are experiencing similar transformations. An elderly man stares in wonder at his arthritis-gnarled hands as they straighten and heal before his eyes. A blind woman gasps as color floods her world for the first time in 20 years. A teenager levitates 6 inches off the ground before falling back in startled surprise. Maya barely notices them. Her attention remains fixed on the approaching alien ship, its massive hull blocking out the sun. Images flash unbidden through her mind. Her parents' small home in San Juan, reduced to smoking rubble in the Asterians' demonstration bombing, their bodies never recovered. The grief she's carried for 5 days crystallizes into something new, something powerful. "They shouldn't be able to do that," whispers a man beside her, his face pale with fear. "Just come here and take everything." "They can't," Maya replies, surprised by the certainty in her voice. "And they won't." She steps forward as if pulled by an invisible thread, moving to the water's edge. The crowd parts instinctively, sensing something momentous. Maya raises her eyes to the enormous vessel, now hovering directly above the harbor, its weapon ports visibly opening. Admiral Zex Thrax's voice booms from the ship's external speakers, amplified to painful levels. "Humans of Earth, your deliberation time has ended. Kneel now before the Asterian Empire and prepare for processing." Maya doesn't kneel. Instead, she reaches out, not with her hands, but with her mind. She doesn't understand how she knows to do this, only that it feels as natural as breathing. Her consciousness touches the vast alien ship, sensing its atomic structure, the quantum possibilities of its existence. "No," she says quietly. Onlookers gasp as Maya's eyes illuminate from within, glowing with inner light that spreads to surround her entire body in a shimmering aura. Above, the Asterian vessel shudders violently. Metal groans. Energy systems flicker. In the command center of the flagship, Admiral Zex Thrax watches in disbelief as warnings flash across every console. "What's happening?" he demands. His science officer's voice trembles. The ship's molecular bonds are destabilizing at the quantum level. "It's impossible." On the bridge view screen, a single human female stares up at them, her eyes blazing with light. "Impossible," the Admiral whispers as reality itself seems to unravel around him. The massive vessel doesn't explode. It simply unmakes itself. Starting from the hull and spreading inward, the ship dissolves into glittering particles that drift harmlessly down like cosmic snow, refracting sunlight in prismatic patterns across the harbor. The thousands of Asterians aboard never feel pain. They simply transition from existence to memory in an instant, their constituent atoms gently dispersed into the atmosphere. Maya sways slightly as the light fades from her eyes. Strong hands catch her before she falls. "I saw what you did," says Dr. Eleanor Chen, helping Maya to a nearby bench. "And you're not alone." She hands Maya her tablet. On the screen, news feeds from around the world show similar scenes unfolding. Asterian ships disintegrating over London, Beijing, Moscow, Cairo. Humans manifesting impossible abilities as the invaders' technological superiority evaporates against powers they never imagined their prey possessed. "What's happening to us?" Maya asks, watching a woman in Tokyo redirect an Asterian energy weapon back to its source with a gesture. Dr. Chen's expression mingles wonder and concern. "We're becoming what we always had the potential to be. The question now is, what will we do with it?" Emperor Vorexillet summons his most trusted advisors to the inner sanctum, a chamber so secure that its location shifts randomly through quantum pocket dimensions. Not even assassination attempts can reach him here. Yet today, security brings no comfort. "Show me again," he commands, seven eyes blinking asynchronously with stress. The Imperial Archon hesitates. "Sire, you've viewed the footage 17 times already." "Perhaps." "Show me." The Emperor's voice cracks the crystalline floor beneath his massive form. With reluctant tentacles, the Archon activates the holographic display. The scene replays in perfect fidelity. Admiral Zex Thrax's flagship dissolving above the human settlement called New York, transformed to glittering dust by a female human whose eyes glow with impossible power. Our scientists still have no explanation. The Emperor asks, already knowing the answer. The chief xenobiologist steps forward, her protective exoskeleton clicking nervously. "We've analyzed everything, Your Eminence. The humans possess a neural structure we initially categorized as vestigial noise. We were mistaken." She projects a new hologram showing human brain scans. This structure appears to function as a quantum interface, allowing direct manipulation of probability fields. Impossible, whispers the Minister of Technology. No biological organism can directly influence quantum states. Evidently, the Emperor replies dryly, they can. The War Minister, a scared veteran of countless conquests, speaks next. The human threat must be eliminated immediately. Our survival depends on it. Agreed, the Emperor nods. Prepare the planet killer fleet. A collective gasp ripples through the chamber. In the Empire's million-year history, the planet killer fleet has been deployed only twice, both times against civilizations that threaten the Empire's very existence. As the advisors disperse to execute the order, the Emperor remains alone in the shifting sanctum. He activates a private communication channel to the High Oracle, something he hasn't done in centuries. The Oracle's ancient face materializes, wrinkled skin stretched over a skull far older than the Emperor himself. You've seen them in your dreams, the Oracle states without preamble. The Emperor's tentacles twitch in surprise. How did you? The humans have awakened something long dormant in this galaxy, something remembered only in our oldest myths. Beyond the palace walls, the impact of Earth's resistance spreads through the Empire like wildfire. On Cirrus Delta, an enslaved insectoid species whispers of the humans who disintegrated Imperial warships with mere thoughts. In the mining colonies of the Sagittarius Arm, workers slow their production, watching their Asterian overseers with newly calculating eyes. The Resistance, a loose coalition of freedom fighters previously hunted to near extinction, experiences an unprecedented surge in recruitment. Their leader, Commander Tix, addresses her captains from a hidden base on an unnamed moon. For millennia, we fought a seemingly hopeless battle against the Empire. Today, everything changes. She displays footage of humans exercising their new abilities. These beings have accomplished in days what we couldn't achieve in centuries. They've shown the Emperor can bleed. In the luxury dome of Imperial Center, privileged citizens of the Empire's ruling classes gather in secret, frightened meetings. Stock markets crash as investors dump shares in military contractors. Religious temples overflow with supplicants seeking divine protection from the human threat. Across the stars, the whispers grow louder, more insistent. The humans are coming. And with them, the end of everything the mighty Asterian Empire believed about its place in the cosmos. In his private quarters, Emperor Vorexillet reopens a text he hasn't consulted since his youth, the prophecy of the reality shapers. The ancient words glow on the screen. Beware the species that dreams while awake, for they shall remake the stars to their liking. Colonel Hernandez's makeshift fleet assumes formation near Neptune's azure atmosphere. Through the viewport of her command vessel, a hastily refitted International Space Station module, the Blue Giant provides a breathtaking backdrop for what may be humanity's final stand. Fleet status, she requests, her voice steady despite the circumstances. Lieutenant Rivera, formerly an astronaut instructor, checks the cobbled-together communication system. All 87 vessels reporting ready, Colonel. Though I use the term ready loosely. Hernandez allows herself a small smile. Their fleet consists of research vessels, space tourism shuttles, and orbital maintenance craft, none designed for combat. Against them comes the most feared armada in galactic history. Remember, she broadcasts to all ships. Conventional weapons are secondary. Focus on your neural connection with your squadron members. Feel the quantum field like we practiced. Dr. Chen's voice cuts in from Earth Command. Colonel, our deep space arrays have detected the planet killer fleet. They've just passed Saturn's orbit. Estimated arrival at your position, 17 minutes. Acknowledged, Hernandez responds. How are our planetary defenses progressing? Every awakened human with sufficient control has been assigned to defense clusters, Chen explains. But honestly, if your fleet fails, I'm not sure Earth can withstand a full planetary assault. Hernandez nods grimly. Then we won't fail. The first Asterian ships appear as pinpricks of light, then rapidly grow into massive, knife-edged dreadnoughts that dwarf the human vessels. Their hulls glisten with weapon ports, each capable of vaporizing a small moon. All ships establish neural link. Hernandez orders, closing her eyes. Across the human fleet, pilots, engineers, and hastily trained civilians do the same. Their minds connect in an expanding web of consciousness, a technique discovered just days ago, but already fundamental to humanity's defense strategy. The first Asterian energy blast lances toward them, a beam of destructive force that could shatter continents. Within the neural link, Hernandez visualizes the quantum possibilities, not where the beam might hit, but where it might not. The entire human fleet collectively focuses on a single thought: the beam curves. Reality reshapes itself to match their intent. The devastating weapon bends like light through water, arcing back toward the Asterian fleet. 3 enemy dreadnoughts vanish in silent explosions as their own weapon consumes them. Aboard the Imperial command ship, Fleet Admiral Toxin stares in disbelief. Impossible. Recalibrate all weapons. Fire again. The Asterians launch a full barrage, hundreds of energy beams slicing toward the human flotilla. Within the neural network, Hernandez and her pilots envision not evasion but reflection. The beams twist in space, splitting and returning to their sources. Dozens of Imperial vessels erupt in cascading explosions. They're adapting. Lieutenant Rivera warns as the surviving Asterians switch to physical projectiles, asteroid-sized masses accelerated to relativistic speeds. Hernandez deepens her connection to the neural network. Together now, visualize phase shifting. The human fleet shimmers, temporarily existing in a slightly different dimensional state. The massive projectiles pass harmlessly through them, as if through ghosts. In desperation, the Asterian commander orders his remaining ships to prepare for light-speed collision, a suicide tactic never before employed by the proud Imperial forces. Before they can execute, a single vessel breaks formation, its engines flaring as it accelerates toward Earth. They've launched something. Rivera shouts, some kind of superluminal missile heading directly for Earth. The neural network can't stretch across such vast distances. Hernandez watches helplessly as the weapon vanishes into faster-than-light travel, beyond their reach. Earth Command. She transmits urgently, incoming weapon. We couldn't stop it. The response comes not from Dr. Chen, but from Maya Rodriguez, now coordinating planetary defense. Her voice carries an eerie calm. We see it, Colonel. And we are ready. Dr. Chen surveys the 12 volunteers selected for humanity's unprecedented diplomatic mission. They represent Earth's diversity. A Buddhist monk from Tibet, a quantum physicist from Brazil, a former United Nations negotiator from Kenya, a teenage girl from New Zealand whose mathematical insights revolutionized understanding of human abilities, and others chosen not for political reasons, but for their exceptional neural adaptability. You understand there's no precedent for what you're attempting, she reminds them. No human has deliberately teleported beyond our solar system before. Professor Emeka Okafor, the Kenyan diplomat, smiles. There's no precedent for anything we've done this week, Doctor. Maya Rodriguez, the unexpected hero of New York, steps forward. The neural network is ready. All 12 billion awakened humans will support your transit. Since the activation of human potential, a global consciousness network has emerged spontaneously, not a hive mind, but a vast, supportive web of shared awareness that any human can access. The diplomatic team will draw on this collective energy for their interstellar jump. In Central Park, surrounded by a silent crowd of thousands, the 12 join hands in a circle. Their bodies begin to glow with the now familiar inner light of activated neural pathways. Globally, humans close their eyes in synchronized support, their combined consciousness creating a mathematical pattern that remaps space-time around the diplomats. In an instant, they vanish. Emperor Vorexilid is consulting with his war council when reality tears open within the Imperial throne room on Asteria Prime. Guards react instantly, weapon systems activating throughout the chamber. Before they can fire, gravity reverses. The massive Asterian guards float helplessly toward the ornate ceiling, their biological weapons neutralized by subtle probability shifts. The 12 humans stand calmly in the center of the chamber, seemingly unaffected by the gravitational anomaly. Professor Okafor steps forward, bowing slightly. Emperor Vorgzillet, we come seeking peaceful dialogue between our civilizations. The Emperor, secured to his throne by magnetic restraints, stares in stunned disbelief. How did you penetrate our defenses? This room exists partially outside normal space-time. Dr. Lakshmi Patel, the Indian physicist, responds with professional interest. Yes, we noticed. Fascinating dimensional engineering, though somewhat rigid in its underlying mathematics. The teenage girl from New Zealand giggles. Your security system's quantum encryption was using 17-dimensional matrices. We upgraded it to 23 dimensions while passing through. You're welcome. Across the Empire, the broadcast of this conversation, transmitted through channels the humans opened without permission, creates shockwaves. Imperial citizens watch as their seemingly invincible emperor negotiates with beings who appear in his most secure sanctuary as casually as walking through an open door. Surveillance drones capture every moment. A human casually repairing a millennia-old artwork damaged during the guard's floating mishap. Another translating the emperor's complex native language, including cultural nuances and regional dialects, without technological assistance. A third demonstrating their neural abilities by temporarily shifting the throne room into a perfect replica of the United Nations General Assembly to make everyone more comfortable. We propose the Embassy of Stars, Professor Okafor explains, a neutral diplomatic forum where all sentient species may gather as equals. Equals. The Emperor's secondary voice bladder inflates with indignation. The Empire has ruled for 1,000,000 years through superior force. The Tibetan monk speaks for the first time, his voice gentle. And yet here we stand, without ships or weapons, within the heart of your power. Perhaps superior force has a new definition. The Emperor's 7 eyes blink in sequence, an Asterian expression of resignation. On billions of screens throughout the galaxy, viewers witness something unprecedented. The mightiest ruler in known space beginning to negotiate terms with a species he had dismissed as insignificant mere days before. The mountain monastery in Tibet has stood for 7 centuries, weathering storms both meteorological and political. Today, it hosts visitors from beyond the stars. Lama Tenzin sits cross-legged before 3 alien pilgrims, a crystalline entity from Rigel, a methane-breathing collective consciousness from the Horsehead Nebula, and a time-dilated being from a star system circling a black hole. You believe we are these shapers from your ancient texts? The elderly monk asks, pouring tea with practiced grace despite the diverse environmental suits of his guests. The Rigilian's crystalline form vibrates with reverence. The descriptions match precisely. Beings who weave reality from thought, who step between stars without vessels, who see beyond the veil of linear time. Tenzin smiles gently. We are very young in our awakening. Perhaps we walk a path others have traveled before. Across Earth, similar scenes unfold. At Stonehenge, quantum physicists compare mathematical models with liquid-state engineers from Ta City. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous shamans share plant knowledge with fungal collectives from distant moons. At the South Pole, human consciousness pioneers commune with entities who exist partially in higher dimensions. The pilgrimage vessels arrive by the hundreds daily, filling Earth orbit with diverse craft from throughout the galaxy. Traffic control, managed by humans who can now perceive and process information at unprecedented speeds, accommodates them all. Not all visitors come in friendship. In a stealth vessel cloaked against conventional detection, Imperial Intelligence Commander Drax observes Earth with mounting horror. His mission: assess the human threat and identify weaknesses. After 3 weeks, his report contains a single line: they have none. He watches as a human child in Kenya heals a terminally ill alien visitor by simply holding its tentacle and willing health into its cellular structure. Elsewhere, a human engineering team redesigns an ancient Pleiadian engine system by mentally simulating 10,000 years of evolution in minutes. Most disturbing to Commander Drax is the religious impact. The Asterian faith, a complex theology that justified imperial expansion as divine mandate, crumbles as its highest clerics defect to Earth. High Priest Voxkel, who once blessed planet-destroying weapons in the Emperor's name, now leads meditation sessions on quantum consciousness alongside human spiritual teachers. In his hidden vessel, Drax composes one final message to the Emperor before making an unprecedented decision. The humans are rewriting the fundamental laws of existence. Against this, our weapons are meaningless. I go now to understand rather than destroy. He sets his ship on a course for the public landing zone and surrenders himself to human authorities. Beneath the Sahara Desert, in a research facility shielded from normal space-time, Dr. James Okoye leads humanity's most ambitious project. Here, awakened humans with specialized neural abilities attempt contact with entities that exist beyond conventional dimensions. "We've established connection," announces Dr. Okoye as complex multidimensional equations materialize in the air around his team. They're responding to our mathematical greeting. The visiting Rigelian diplomat observes with awe. You speak directly with the Beyond Ones. Even the Shapers of old approached them with caution. Dr. Okoye's eyes gleam with the now familiar light of activated neural pathways. They tell us we are not the first to walk this path, but we may walk it further than those before us. The Rigelian's crystalline form flashes with emotional light patterns. Then the ancient prophecy speaks truth. When the young gods awaken, the cosmos itself shall hold its breath, for they carry futures even the eldest cannot see. The inaugural assembly of the Galactic Commonwealth concludes its 7th day of deliberations within Luna City's transparent dome. Representatives from 30,000 species have drafted and ratified the Commonwealth Charter, a document guaranteeing rights and responsibilities for all sentient beings regardless of origin, biology, or developmental stage. Former Emperor Vorgzilit, now simply the Asterian representative, signs the document with a ceremonial gesture using all 7 limbs simultaneously, a profound cultural statement visible to billions watching across the stars. 5 years ago, he commanded the galaxy's most feared military force. Today, he advocates for peaceful coexistence with quiet humility. The Commonwealth era begins, announces Chairperson Maya Rodriguez, her voice carrying to all delegates without technological amplification, one of many small demonstrations of human abilities that still inspire awe despite their commonplace usage now. After the ceremony, Dr. Eleanor Chen walks with Vorgzilit through Luna City's botanical gardens, where Earth plants grow alongside samples from 1,000 worlds. I never believed I would see peace in my lifetime, the former emperor admits, his armored exoskeleton now replaced with simple diplomatic robes. My education taught that domination was the natural order. That power exists to be exercised over others. Dr. Chen smiles. And yet here we are, choosing the different path. Because you could have destroyed us utterly, Vorgzilit notes. Instead, you offered partnership. Power without wisdom is merely force, she replies. We had to become worthy of our abilities. Beyond the dome's transparent ceiling, Earth hangs like a blue jewel against the blackness. No longer a primitive backwater, it now serves as the galaxy's cultural and spiritual center. The human homeworld has changed dramatically. Floating cities hover above restored wilderness. Quantum architecture reshapes itself to environmental needs, and research centers explore dimensions beyond conventional reality. Across the stars, human teams work alongside former Imperial subjects to heal the scars of conquest. On Belarus Prime, human consciousness engineers collaborate with native scientists to reverse ecological collapse by extracting pollutants at the subatomic level. In the mining worlds of the Sagittarius Arm, once stripped planets flourish again as humans manipulate quantum fields to accelerate regrowth and even resurrect extinct species from probability threads where they might have survived. The former Asterian war fleet, converted to exploration vessels, maps regions beyond the galaxy's edge. Human consciousness pioneers, their abilities now extending far beyond the physical, serve as navigators, perceiving multidimensional routes invisible to conventional sensors. In the Commonwealth's Hall of Remembrance on Mars, holographic monuments honor those who died during the brief conflict, both human and Asterian. Children from both species place symbolic tokens of reconciliation beneath the eternal flame, maintained not by technology, but by the focused intent of human consciousness keepers. Professor James Okoye, leading humanity's dimensional research initiative, prepares his team for their most ambitious expedition, a journey beyond conventional reality into what some call the probability sea from which all universes emerge. We go not as conquerors but as students, he reminds his colleagues, humans and aliens alike. Our abilities grant us access to realms previously beyond reach, but we enter with respect for forces we're still learning to comprehend. As their consciousnesses prepare to depart their physical forms, Okoye shares a final observation with the Commonwealth observers. What we've discovered isn't godhood, but rather the next natural step in consciousness evolution. The universe isn't merely matter and energy. It's information, potential, and awareness itself. And we've only begun to understand its true nature. The observers watch in silent wonder as the exploration team's physical forms glow with inner light, then seem to expand beyond conventional dimensions before vanishing entirely. Pioneers of consciousness venturing into realms where even the concept of reality takes on new meaning.